Good morning, YouTube world. Today is Tuesday, February 14th. That makes it Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, boys. Anthony LaPera and Tom Burko are here with me. What's going on, guys? Anth, how's that special someone? What do you got planned for the missus today?
It's a secret.
Okay.
It's a secret. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
The secret. Okay. Well, we won't let the missus know. All right. Tommy boy, how are you this morning?
Excellent. Ready to head out the door here, not in my hoodie and hat.
I like that. I like the suited up Tom Burko look. I like that. All right, boys. Well, we'll get started first with a Super Bowl recap. Great game, awful penalty to end. Commercials were pretty lame. Tom, I know you're pretty active on your thoughts of the game. What are your thoughts of the Super Bowl? Fill me in.
I am just completely disappointed in the way that ended. That game was unbelievable up until that point, and now it is just a fact and known to everybody that the NFL, well, not the NFL, football is now more of a business than it is a sport. So you could forget the sports as a kid growing up. It's no longer a sport. So get them enrolled in business classes early so they understand how to play football.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think games are more of a sport as ever. I don't know if you heard or not. Major League Baseball. I mean, when we were kids, you used to put ghost runners on second as a joke. Now Major League Baseball just adopted ghost runners for real in extra innings. So hashtag not my MLB. But yeah.
I just real quick, I saw a message come in the chat. Somebody didn't like the script of the game. And I was watching CBS yesterday, and they had a host on there. I'm not going to mention any names, but they were saying that they would have loved to have been commentating that game and been covering it because the script for any news writer on that one was unbelievable. So that's just showing you that there is a script. And yeah, that's why sports are no longer sports. Thank you, Mike, for chiming in there.
Disavow that. There is no script. I don't believe that, but we know Tom isn't too happy with the NFL. I think baseball is a joke. Anthony, what are your thoughts on major sports right now?
I mean, after that Eagles game, I was pumped in the beginning, first half. That second half hit. I don't know what the hell happened, but I lost my voice a little bit because I was yelling at the TV. So
rooting interest only in that game. Why would you have been cheering so hard in that one?
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Okay. All right. Understood. All right, boys. But yeah, it was a great weekend. It was a beautiful weekend. I was out at an open house that had like 8 million people at it. So I think we are getting back to the market. There's definitely pent-up buyers in the Pennsylvania market, especially Pittsburgh here. We know inventory is low. So everyone asks about interest rates all the time. Like, how can I get a lower interest rate? How can I get a lower interest rate? How can I get a lower interest rate? Well, there's this program that's always been around, but it hasn't been very prevalent in the last decade, and it's called a 2-1 buydown. And what a 2-1 buydown is a temporary rate buydown. I'm sorry, my favorite cat just entered my studio. She's pretty vocal. So if you hear anything, I don't have a baby crying. I'm not killing a child. She's just mad that she's not part of the stream, so she can interrupt me. But a temporary rate buy down is a great option for a buyer that thinks, hey, rates will come down in a couple years. Just get me a gap for a few years. So what a 2-1 buy down is your rate will be 2% less than it is today for the first year, 1% less for today than the second year, and then in the third year, it goes back to what the rate would be today. The catch-all with this program is seller assistance has to be used to pay for this because it's pretty much prepaying the saving in the interest. So what the calculation ends up being is 2.25% seller assistance. For 2.25% seller assistance, a buyer can get a 2-1 buy down and really help their rate. So we need realtors' help to make buyers aware of the program and let them understand it and get them to us to push for pre-approvals. But Ant, I just want to know what you see with the program, what your thoughts are on the program.
Personally, I think the program is great. I mean, so many buyers right now are saying, oh, you know what, I'll buy now, refinance later, right? Which is a great opportunity if the rates are a benefit. I mean, it has to be a benefit to refi because they're going to have closing costs again. But the nice thing is, if somebody can lower their rate, 2% for the first, 1% for the second, they're saving money in those 2 years, and they're still locked into a fixed interest rate. So they don't have to worry about going adjustable. I know a lot of lenders right now are selling ARMs. That's not always the best program because then it's going to adjust. If rates go up, the rate goes up, and then they have to refinance and pay all the closing costs again. With that program, they don't have to. If they see a dip in interest rates, totally have the option to refinance. And if they dip during that 2-year time frame, they actually get a portion of that money back for the buy down in their payoff. So it actually reduces their payoff, which is nice. So solid program, may not be for everybody, but it's definitely a great program for somebody to try to save money on their monthly payment every month in today's market. So
I agree. I mean, it is the best way for any buyer out there or any agent that has a buyer that says, hey, my buyer is really focused on the interest rate. This is what they're concerned about. This is their number one thing. I mean, it does lower the payment for 2 years. I mean, that is the main idea of it. And it gives the buyer 2 years to figure out, like you said, is it a point that we're going to refinance because rates are lower, or in 3 years, they're just going to get the rate as it is today. And if that rate's lower than it is at that point in 3 years, you're still winning. So if you can get seller assistance, if you got enough cash in the bank where you can cover the closing costs, use that seller assistance to buy down your rate. And if you don't want to do the temporary buy down, I know, Tom, you're more into the permanent buy down where you can take that seller assistance and maybe not move it a whole point, but in your estimation, how much are you buying down a rate permanently when you get that seller assistance?
So it really has to do with the pricing that we'd get on each individual rate. And I would see where it makes sense for the break-even point for each person. I try to typically keep that under 3 years on this initial buy down, but we can, using the money for a permanent buy down, you could buy it down, maybe not full 2 percentage points in the first year and 1 in the second year, but we could buy it down maybe 1/4 or 3/8 of a point, and they will have that payment for the remainder of the 30-year loan term. So another great option. It's not for, it depends. It really depends on the person's situation, which one we're going to recommend to them. But in both regards, seller's assist does not hurt the buyer ever.
Right. Couldn't agree more. We've always thought about seller assistance just being used to lower closing costs. And frankly, in this day and age, we see a lot of buyers getting gifts from parents. We see a lot of buyers having equity from a sale where closing cost isn't always as big of a deal to some buyers. It's interest rate. So why not ask for seller assistance and use it in a way that will help that specific buyer? And I just think sometimes we get in tunnel vision when we think seller assistance is only going to be used for one thing, when in the mortgage world, it can absolutely be used for multiple ways. And I think that's the main reason you got to get a pre-approval. Call one of us, get your pre-approval so we can talk it over and we can go over those options. We can give the estimates. We can say, hey, here's your payment with this rate. Here's your payment with this rate. What are your thoughts? And kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So
clients are getting pre-approvals and they're not getting estimates. It's so unfortunate because I don't know how you can expect to understand what you're paying for the house when it comes to cost and monthly payment without an estimate.
Right.
And a lot of lenders are not giving loan estimates, which is a disadvantage for the buyer when it all said and done. So, yeah, we give an estimate with every pre-approval that's given. So,
and any agent that lets their buyer use a lender where they don't get an estimate, shame, 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 because those buyers need estimates. How the heck are you choosing a mortgage company when you don't know what they're charging? And if you think every mortgage company is the same when it comes to cost and interest rate, shame, shame, shame. That's all I got to say regarding that. All right, boys. Now, Friday is a big day on AM Chatter. We're going to have our first guest. We're going to start trying to have guests on Fridays. Our first guest is a auto finance expert. Obviously, we all know when someone buys a car in the middle of getting a mortgage, it can be a real big headache. Qualifying for a car is different than qualifying for a mortgage. So we will talk to him about that and go over some things. So that will be Friday. I'm real excited for that. That's 8 o'clock if we can all get here on time. Other than that, that's all I got. Do you boys have anything before we wrap up?
No. God bless the USA in this fight against aliens.
Yes, I mean, that's a great ending. Enough said. God bless the USA. Have a Tuesday, boys, and I will talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Later.
See ya.